there, creatives. Keri here with the Creative Life Studios, and welcome back to part 2 of my series on clear gessos for Bible journaling. If you haven't watched video 1, I'll put that link down in the description. So in this video series, we're going to be testing out 5 of the most popular and highest rated clear gessos that are being used in Bible journaling. We're going to be testing out my personal favorite, which is Liquitex Clear Gesso. We're going to be testing out Winsor Newton's acrylic clear gesso, Finnebar's clear gesso, Dina Wakley's clear gesso, and then also some product by Golden called Absorbent Grounds. Even though technically not a gesso, it is a primer. If you haven't watched video 1, in video 1 we discuss how they're different, and we discuss how they apply differently, and then we also test out some water-based products like some watercolors, some ink tints, blocks, and a few other things. So check out that video. In this one, we're going to be having fun with all the pens. Woohoo! So I've got some alcohol ink pens, I've got some paint pens, I've got some Sharpies, I've got some other stuff laying around. So we're going to give all those a try and see how they work on the different kinds of gesso. It's just to kind of give you an idea before you invest your money in something if it is going to work with your favorite products. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. All right, creative friends, so we're on part 2 of our testing out of all of these fun clear gessos. If you watched video 1, you know how I have this set up. So top is going to be our Liquitex, second is our Dina Wakley, Winsor & Newton, Finnebar, and then the Golden Absorbent Ground. So like I said in the intro, this video we're going to play with pens. So paint pens, Sharpies, alcohol ink pens, a couple of other random ones that I tend to use a lot just to play with and see what they do. Ooh, I'm going to grab one more. All right, so let's start with some alcohol ink. So these are just, I think they're by Royal, I never know how to say that, Royal Langnickel? I don't know, I found about one more. So we're going to, the kind of has the bullet tip on one side and the chisel on the other. So we're just like in our other video, we're just going to do a little line all the way down. So you can definitely see, or I can from my side, on the Liquitex, the Winsor Newton, and the Golden, our colors definitely stay more vibrant, whereas on the two that have the smoother texture, so the Finbar and the Dina Wakley, you almost get just a slightly muted version. Let's try the chisel tip and see what that looks like. Can you see the difference? Yeah, so you can definitely see, I don't know why my thing is wigging out a little bit. Sorry about that. There we go. You can definitely see that this one, and this one all are slightly darker in color. And I don't know if that's because of the grit. It has a little bit more tooth, so maybe it picks up more color. I don't really know. But you can see the Dina Wakley and the Finnebar, definitely the color ends up a little bit more muted. All right, now the test. Flip it over, see what happens. Oh, well, that's not too bad. So what's interesting is the ones, this is the Liquitex and the Winsor Newton, those are the ones that had that little bit more of a grit, but it also grabs enough ink that you might not be able to see, but it's speckling bleed through just a little bit, not on the bullet tip one, but on the chisel one. But on the Finbar and the Dina Wakley, the smoother textured ones, don't really have any problems with bleed through. You have the shadow, which happens, but no real bleed through on that, so that's kind of interesting. I'm going to do a little experiment here though, because we know alcohol inks are all about blending and that kind of thing. So let's see what happens if I were coloring in a stamp or something and wanted to do some blending. So I'm just going to add just a little more ink to each of these with the bullet tip and see if it still withstands or if it bleeds through. All right, let's give that a minute. If it's going to bleed through, we'll see. So, no, none of them bled through. So that's pretty. So if you're an alcohol ink person, I would definitely say from a texture perspective, if you're wanting to get a really great smooth alcohol ink texture, I would definitely do the Dina Wakley or the Finbar, because you're going to get much smoother of a texture and a more better flow to your alcohol inks. Just looking at these from this side, I actually definitely think the Finbar is going to be your best bet when it comes to getting a good blend on your alcohol inks in your journaling Bible. So that's definitely would be my go-to on this particular one. Let's see. Let's try a good old-fashioned Sharpie. I tend to use a gray Sharpie more than a black Sharpie unless I'm doing writing, because I like to use it for just a little shading, a little outlining, just to give it some pop. So I'm going to do just a single little stripey. Oh, well, it appears that Sharpie is not working, so we're going to use pink instead. Apparently I left the lid off of it again. But hey, pink is good too. So we're just going to do a pink stripe down. It seems to do pretty well on all of them. Little bit of shadow, but not any bleed through, so that's nice. But let's do some scribbles and see if any bleed through by adding a little more ink on top. So Sharpie on absorbent grounds does not work really well. Just keep that in mind. And it looks like definitely smoother textures definitely work better with these pens. But very little peek through on that Winsor Newton one, but the other ones, no bleed through at all. But it looks like from a texture perspective, you definitely want to stay away from those with the texture like the Winsor Newton and the Liquitex with a Sharpie, because it doesn't give you a smooth finish. Out of all of these, I would definitely say Dina Wakley for Sharpie, definitely. All right, let's see what else we got. So this is just a generic, like, acrylic paint pen. The kind with, like, not that one. That one appears to be, dried up. Apparently I haven't used hot pink in a while. So we're going to try a different one. So these are just painter's pens. I believe they're actually made by Elmer Glue, which is kind of interesting. So I'm just depressing it right now so it'll kind of start flowing through because it's a new one. Perfect. It's kind of this orangey peaches kind of color. So we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to do a nice little swipey all the way down. Color stays pretty consistent across all of them, so that's nice. And just for giggles, we're going to do a little bit more just so we can see what it looks like and if it bleeds through. All right, so consistent color, so that's good. And you can see, didn't bleed through on any of them, so that's super great. Not even that much of a shadow, which is really impressive. I've been really impressed with this Art Basics Finnebar's particular product. Across all, it's kind of been my favorite lately, which is kind of surprising because I've been a Liquitex girl like hardcore the entire time I've been doing this. All right, let's see what else can we try. So this is just a different kind of paint pen. It is an acrylic paint marker from Pebeo. I like it because it's glittery. Yay for glitter. I don't know if glitter makes a difference, but we're going to try it anyway. It has a little bit smaller of a bullet tip than the other one. So we're just going to do a nice little stripey down. And then see if we get any bleed through by doing a little bit more. Let's see. Nope, they did pretty good. None of them bled through on this either. You can see. So that's good. This is just kind of a generic, it's a permanent. I bought it for like modern calligraphy, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't love them. This is the, I don't know if you can see that, the fine tip, and it doesn't stay. Yeah, it's all frayed and stuff, and I've only used it like 3 times. Not a fan. Same with this end. The tip doesn't blunt really fast, so you can't get that good kind of swishy. Anyway, I'm not a fan, but it is what it is. We're going to try, in fact, I used it to make these lines. So just a straight down black line with just a permanent brush tip pen. Not too bad. Now, the shadow's definitely darker on the grounds and these top three. It's a little bit lighter on the Finnebar. And then good old-fashioned Kit Artist pens from Faber-Castell. Definitely you can tell, you can see the drag on the ones that have the texture to it. You get definitely much smoother lines on your Dina Wakley and Finnebar. They're less likely to, they're going to get a smoother texture and a smoother image. But yeah, still pretty good on the, nothing bleeding through, so that's good. What else do I have? Oh, so I haven't tried these yet, but I heard someone talk about them. So they are Sharpies, but they're called Sharpie Pros. So they are supposedly, I'm going to do a little test on this and see, they're supposedly supposed to be able to mark on wet and oily surfaces. So I don't really know what that means. Like, I don't know what kind of voodoo magic it is, but I thought it would be fun to try. And so I randomly was able to find them actually at Target, of all places. So I bought a set of 4. All right, let's see what this does. So it might be hard to see on camera, but there's definitely a little color variation. You can see that the Dina Wakley is a little bit lighter, and then Finnebar is pretty close, but then all 3 that have texture, the color stays a lot darker than those. I don't know if that's a chemical thing or what that is, but I'm super excited to try these and see if they really will mark on wet paint. Whew, I will say they smell really bad, like weirder than regular Sharpies. Almost like if a Sharpie and a licorice had a baby, it would smell like that. It was super weird. Let's see. So a little bit similar to the same thing we had with the alcohol inks. On the brands that have that little bit more grit and a little bit more texture, where the little bumps are, it kind of bled through. I'm not sure you can see the little dots or not. But the Finnebar and the Dina Wakley, no bleed through, dark shadow, even though it's only a blue and not a black, but not a deal breaker. The fact that it changes the color of the marker is a little weird, so that's an interesting change there. Let's see, what other markers do I have? I think that is all the markers I have at the moment to play with. Oh, actually I thought one I did want to try. So this is your plain old Sharpie, but it's the finer point. So we use the ultra fine right here, the professional one right here, but let's try this one. You kind of run into a little bit of the same thing where the color changes slightly in tone depending on which brand it's on top of and how much tooth it has. You can definitely see that this is lighter and this one's lighter, whereas these 3 give you a more vibrant color. I don't really know why that is, but no bleed through, so that's good. That's definitely a new thing. All right, so we tested out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different kinds of pens and markers that you might want to use in your journaling. So let's flip that over and let's see. Yeah, I'm really digging the Finnebar Clear Gesso. I've been really surprised. No bleed through, very little, normal shadowing. You can see all of these have just a little bit of bleed through, but that Finnebar has actually none. So far, that Clear Gesso from Art Basics by Finnebar seems to be winning it all, which is pretty awesome. All right, so if there's anything else you are interested in that you want me to test out, leave it down in the comments and I will give it a try and see what happens. If you haven't watched video 1 where we talk about the different, the ways all these the way all of these clear gessos are different. I'll put that down in the comments. Go check that one out. And then on our next video, we're going to try out some other mediums like some acrylic paints and some alcohol inks and a couple other things. So make sure you come back in the next week or so and check that out. Leave me some comments. Make sure you like and subscribe for all sorts of more artsy fartsy fun. And I will see you guys later. Have a great day.